Hi, this is Dave Lordman back again. We're going to cover the second half of the business intelligence presentation. I looked at the video that I created for the first half. It's a little hard. This is a very hard medium, so bear with me. Listen to what I'm saying, not so much how I'm saying it. It's very artificial to be doing it this way, but I'm sure I'll get some more practice and I'll get better at it. In the first half of the presentation, we talked about the concept of business intelligence and business analytics. We defined what they were, how they were different, but basically we're all about taking data and turning it into insight. And there's a lot of ways to do that. We also talked about the concept of structured versus non-structured data. Structured data is often kept in databases that are relational. We talked a little bit about how Excel is a database, it's just not relational. And I hope after you watch the video, you have a better understanding as to what the concept of relational databases is and how powerful they can be. So in the second half of the presentation, we're going to talk more about business analytics and, business intelligence and advanced analytics, and delve more deeply into the different types of tools that are available out there. There are a lot of tools. There's a lot of sort of industries within this broader industry. And as I said before, there's a lot of money to be made. You'll probably be using a good number of these tools in whatever form of business you are going to pursue. This is a very hot industry right now, and a lot of you will benefit from it and participate in it. And that's pretty much of a guarantee. So I'm going to share the presentation. And we're going to continue. So as I said, we're going to talk about the core concepts of business intelligence and advanced analytics, and more specifically as to what kind of tools. Okay, so first, again, we did this in the first presentation. Business intelligence tools provide decision support, looking really historically at data, looking at historical data, mining that data. There's three different types of categories of tools. First, called things called decision support tools. Another one called online analytical processing, which they call OLAP. And a lot of different information visualization tools. It's important to remember that the data isn't always in numeric form. The data could be audio, the data could be pictures, it could be videos. There's a lot of different ways that data is analyzed. And then there's these advanced analytical tools, which are more about predicting the future, which are more about taking the data, gaining insight from it, and trying to see what's going to happen. And there's a lot in here. There's data mining tools, unstructured data analysis, which basically means that it's not relational data tools. Machine learning, which gets us a little bit into artificial intelligence, predictive modeling, and intelligent systems. So let's go through and describe these different categories. So business intelligence, three major types of tools. First one, the first category is about decision support. They use these decision support systems to analyze structured data. So they're looking at data that already exists in a relational database, and to do classic what-if analysis off of it. What if the tax rate goes up to a certain level? What if the stock market falls down, which has been happening the last few days? So classic what if, and it helps people at different levels of the organization make better decisions. Then there's something called online analytical processing, OLAP. It supports multi-dimensional data analysis, and it enables rapid online answers to ad hoc queries. So as opposed to asking sort of what if analysis, it's really more of, I have a particular question, or I need to look at certain data in a certain way. And these are systems that go out there and parse that data. You can look at the data across multiple dimensions. You can look at it across each aspect of it: product, pricing, region. I used to have a system like this in Excel, which was not a relational data store, where people could sort of take a look by region, by product, by customer size, by type of business partner, et cetera. And then there's these information visualization tools, which I think are really quite cool. If you take a look at the lower right, that is using visual and analytics to provide a visual representation of how a hurricane, for instance, is gaining strength. So more and more of the data analytics is being presented in much more visual ways. The more traditional ways in the lower left-hand corner, this is sort of a digital dashboard. And these are things that executives use to take a look at the category that they're managing or a part of the business that they're managing. But more and more is becoming three-dimensional, almost like movies. So not only are the analytics getting more sophisticated, but the way that the data is being presented is becoming more sophisticated as well. Okay, so that was the business intelligence tools. There's a lot more advanced analytical tools. And again, these are the ones that are trying to predict the future as opposed to looking at trends from the past. So data mining, you've probably heard about this term, and data mining is finding hidden patterns, relationships in different data sets, looking for associations, they're looking for sequences, they're looking for clustering. And there's a lot of data mining tools out there. Another advanced analytical tool is what they call machine learning. And it's actually a branch of artificial intelligence that allows the systems to actually learn based on the analytics that they're based on the data that they're studying. And the more and more that they study a specific type of data, the more associations and the more clustering can happen. And it almost helps them with more precision as to how the algorithm evolves. It's as if the system is teaching itself. And they're looking for meaningful patterns when processing just massive amounts of big data. It's a huge industry. Artificial intelligence is everywhere, will continue to be everywhere. And there's a large portion of it within the category of machine learning, where it looks like the algorithm is evolving on its own, even though people have programmed it to do so. Then there's a bunch of unstructured data analysis. So if you remember, there's structured data, which is like relational databases. And then there's unstructured data. It could be who's tweeting about something. So there was a lot of news today about the NBA players who had the coronavirus. And you could do a quick analysis of what the perception is of that NBA athlete who was not very careful, and he probably infected a whole bunch of people. And you could see sort of how his desirable attributes or undesirable attributes are changing based on what people are, how people are talking about him in media and different types of social media. So they look at stored emails, they look at call center transcripts, legal cases, patents, social media, blogs. And what it does is that they actually look in there and they gain some insight based on all of this data that seems to be sort of randomly placed in different places. Let's see if there's anything else here that's that interesting. It's really the concept of text mining versus web mining. Text mining doesn't have to be sitting in a web space. You could be storing all of your call center transcripts in a database. You could be storing your emails in another database. Where web mining is specifically looking into the web itself, probably mostly in blogs, social medias, et cetera, to find meaningful relationships amongst the data. More advanced analytical tools, predictive modeling. It's designed to focus on the past and current performance, and it builds these models to sort of explain what some of the future trends are going to be. Now, the next type are these intelligent systems. And an example of that is an intelligent agent. You've all used them. You've probably argued with one on a social media platform. And these are bots. My wife was just on the phone today trying to cancel an upcoming flight that we had, and she was absolutely talking to a bot. When you go on to a self-service application, a web self-service application, a lot of times the bot is answering your questions, and then they pass you over to a real person who's texting with you. And it's just another advanced analytical tool called intelligent systems and intelligent agents. All right, so a bunch of business intelligence tools and a bunch of advanced analytical tools. Now, this last concept here is called knowledge management. It's a little bit of an aged term, but I think at its core, it's a very interesting concept. But there are these knowledge management systems out there, and there's something called geographic information systems. And I'm going to go through and explain a little bit what each one of these are. And I think you'll find it to be a little bit interesting. So there's a concept in knowledge management, because knowledge management refers to the process an organization uses to gain the greatest value from its knowledge assets. Every organization is set up with explicit knowledge, and that's stuff that's written down, that's stuff that's in content management systems, processes, procedures. It's all well codified and documented. But I would actually say that most of the knowledge within an organization is tacit. People just know how to do things. They haven't written it down. In my school, for instance, our entire IT infrastructure, people run it, people drive it, but it's not really written down anywhere. And there's 3 or 4 people that if they were to suddenly leave our building, they would take all that tacit knowledge with them, and people would know what kind of software is in there, what the levels of the software are, etc. So the goal in every organization is to take all that tacit knowledge, is to really study people's expertise and turn it into explicit knowledge. And that's what these knowledge management systems do. And a lot of it is consulting services that help people better document the knowledge base that exists within their enterprise. People try to fight this because if they feel that their expertise is becoming written down, it becomes commoditized, they become less useful. So it's very much of a game of chicken and the egg. And the next time that you're in an organization or you start working in an organization, just take a look at it from this lens. How much of the work that you're doing is sort of codified and written down and documented versus how much is that person's the expert for A, that person's the expert for B. So that's the concept of knowledge management. So what they do is what these knowledge management experts do is they come up with a social network analysis. They're almost like these little neural networks of knowledge management. And it actually plots out where the expertise resides and who has it and who's working with whom. This is a big part of sort of human capital consulting. It can sound a little esoteric, but when it's done well, especially people that are in industries where intellectual capital is what you're selling, like law firms, consulting, things like that, having a much better view of where the both the explicit and tacit knowledge exists can be very helpful. So geographic information systems are systems for creating, storing, analyzing, and managing geographically referenced information. I first saw this when my customer, who was a large retailer, used these systems to try to understand where they should put new stores. So what they were able to do is they were able to mine a whole bunch of data. How many men live in this neighborhood versus women? How many of them are college educated versus not? What's the average income? So looking at all of these demographic pieces of information and overlaying it to the geography. And you can see how important that would be in terms of where you wanted to place a physical store location. You'd want it to be optimized around where there are customers that have a higher propensity to want to buy your goods. So that's what a geographic information system is, which is just another form of analytics. There's a lot of different uses for geographic information systems. I'll just go through a couple of here. So in the banking industry, identifying lucrative areas for marketing campaigns, or identifying the right area to put a banking branch. From a disaster response standpoint, analyzing historical events in terms of setting up evacuation plans and identifying areas that are most likely to be affected by a disaster. I would imagine there's geographic information systems being used right now to help plan where they're going to put resources to help push the spread of this virus back. As we know, you haven't been around, but New Rochelle has become pretty famous in terms of being the East Coast epicenter for what's going on right now. Insurance companies use it to do risk analysis. Governments use it for urban planning. Law enforcement to analyze high crime areas where they should be putting their resources to help keep us safe, etc. All right, so those are geographic information systems. All right, so that is the second half of the presentation. I am going to upload this to Blackboard. I will send you an email letting you know that all of the Unit 6 information is in there. In the email that I'm going to send you, I will tell you what we're going to do on the day we get back in terms of our exam. What I will do is I will open up the exam at 4:30 on the Monday that we get back, but it's going to be a take-home. I'll probably give you the week to finish it, and then you'll submit that to Blackboard, and I will grade it as a take-home assignment as opposed to a test. As opposed to having to show me that you've created 3 review sheets, you can just use any of the resources available to help answer the questions for the second exam. Last, I hope that you're all having a wonderful break. And I just hope that you're all having a wonderful break and as relaxing a break as it can be. I do hope between now and the end of the semester we can get back together face to face. But if we don't, we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to see things through the best that we can. So you'll be hearing more from me, and so keep an eye out for your emails from me. As is always the case, I have provided you with my cell phone. You can always text me to let me know what's up. And I will be creating we'll probably be using Zoom, and I'll be creating a virtual classroom environment for at least part of the 4:30 to 7:30 on the Monday that we get back, so we can at least have some virtual face-to-face time. Okay, so have a good rest of your break, and I'll see you on the Monday that we get back, which will be when I'll open up the take-home exam and give you a couple days to work on it.